私はそのことを昨日のように覚えている。父と並んで馬に乗り、なんと誇らしげだったことか。私の息子も初めて私と一緒に馬に乗った時、同じ誇りを持っていた。彼の息子たちにも、それに従う者たちの顔にも、その誇りを私は見て取れた。全員で分かち合う誇り、相馬の誇り高き侍たち。ホラ海を吹こえる呼び音が山々に響き渡り、陣を整えるように命ずる。我々一族の侍すべてが忠実にその呼び音に従う。米畑と農家との間にある狭い小道は、我々の侍たちの色鮮やかな旗で急ににぎわった。装備は確認され、集まった部隊の用意は整い、我らが誇り高い武将の到着と指令を待つ。我々の馬たちも同様に興奮して落ち着きがなくうずいている。なぜならその馬たちも伝統の中に生まれてきたからである。相馬の乗馬に長けた戦士たちの偉大なる一族の伝統、野生馬の力と機敏さと卓越した戦士、侍の武術との1000年にわたる絆。1000年の歴史の管理者たち、先祖の守護者たち、彼らの魂は我々を経て再び生き続ける。
Join us on an incredible journey into the lost world of the samurai as we enter the hidden realm of one of the most spectacular traditional festivals in the world today, that of the ancient Soma no Moai, a journey that will take us into the last refuge of Japan's once legendary warriors, where, as though through a portal in time, the modern-day descendants of one of Japan's oldest feudal dynasties, the proud men and women of Soma, continue to practice and preserve the time-honored traditions of their ancient clan. A saga that began more than 1,000 years ago, testing man and horse through daring feats and grueling challenges. An ancient martial tradition that for centuries ensured that the warriors of Soma were always ready to rally to its defense in times of need. A tradition that is now the last bastion of samurai culture. This is the world of the samurai of Soma, truly the last of the samurai. The Bushi, or samurai, were members of an elite class of hereditary warriors who controlled Japan for several centuries. Members of a society and time that long ago vanished into the dusty pages of history. But the era of the samurai is not as far in the past as most people think. As recently as the early 1870s, they were still an integral part of Japanese culture, numbering almost 3 million strong, a figure that represented nearly 7% of the entire population. And yet, by the close of that same decade, as a class, the samurai had ceased to be, as though, en masse, they had simply withdrawn into some forgotten fold in time and vanished. What became of these millions of proud warriors? It is surely one of the great ironies of history that rather than being annihilated in a titanic final clash of arms, the samurai class was simply abolished, calmly signed into oblivion by a series of decrees and laws that were issued by the new imperial government in its drive to modernize the country along Western lines. The pen proved to be mightier than the sword, as bureaucrats systematically stripped the once almighty warriors of their power, prestige, and finally even their swords. Most were resigned to their fate, but not all. Some defiant clans preferred to relocate to the wilds of the northern islands of Japan rather than accept the shame of their social demise, while those that resisted were decimated by the modern weaponry of the new Japanese army. In September of 1877, the defeated leaders of the last rebellious samurai ritualistically disemboweled themselves, choosing to die like warriors in accordance with the code of Bushido. As far as history was concerned, the era of the samurai had come to a close. The warrior spirit, however, lived on, irrepressible in the hearts of most ex-samurai, many of whom continued to honor their forefathers and ancient heritage. And no clan kept better faith with their spiritual roots and warrior past than the proud descendants of the samurai of Soma, who to this day continue to rigidly observe the time-honored traditions of their forefathers, the proud bearers of a martial history that dates back more than a millennium. The clan was founded in the Kanto region near modern-day Tokyo in the early 10th century under the famous warlord Taira no Masakado. Lord Taira, an expert horseman, utilized the clan's herd of wild horse to exercise his mounted warriors, recognizing that their unpredictable nature made them an ideal adversary for training. In the early 1300s, the clan relocated to an area in northeastern Honshu, now part of the present-day prefecture of Fukushima, where they re-established themselves and the new fiefdom of Soma. With them came the clan's herd of horse and the great tradition of Lord Taira's wild horse chase, or Soma no Mo Oi. Today, family members of the once ruling dynastic Soma family lords, now in their 33rd generation, the true bloodline descendants of Lord Taira no Masakado, can be seen presiding over the Noma Oi. And each year, without fail, their loyal retainers return, paying homage to the Lord and the great ritual they have been bequeathed. The modern-day samurai of Soma are the inheritors of one of the world's most unique traditions and the caretakers of its last refuge. Housed within an ancient Buddhist temple are the personal altars of many generations of the past lords of Soma, each one of which represents a chapter in the long saga of the clan's history. Through chants and prayers, the bond between the samurai of the past and present is reaffirmed as they seek the guidance and blessings of their forefathers in order to ensure that the training events of the Noma Oi will once again be safe and successful. Led by the temple priest, the samurai file forward to pay their respects and give thanks, proud to be the privileged custodians of over 1,000 years of tradition, participants in the eternal cycle of the Soma no Mo Oi. For most of the modern-day samurai of Soma, the Noma Oi is only one aspect of their bond with their martial heritage, with many being avid and highly skilled practitioners of one or more of the traditional Japanese martial arts. The sword has long been synonymous with the samurai, and according to legend, was the physical embodiment of the warrior's soul. Thus, swords were revered and highly prized possessions to be treated with the utmost respect, for they were the physical confirmation of the individual's elite status within the social hierarchy as a member of the ruling warrior class. The samurai trained constantly to master their swordsmanship, ensuring relentless practice that allowed a warrior to react with lightning speed, drawing his sword instinctively and wielding it with almost surgical exactness. So sharp were the blades of their incredible swords that a single blow was easily capable of severing a limb or decapitating an opponent. Master swordsmen continue to spar in close-quarter bouts using authentic swords, which is truly a testament to their absolute control and confidence in wielding these deadly, razor-sharp blades, and to the character of the modern-day samurai of Soma.
昔ですと、隣の藩、伊達藩です。これは62万石。で、相馬は6万石なんで、その伊達藩との小競り合いがしょっちゅうあるわけです。で、そういった中で、この相馬の地では領民一丸となって、そしてそれに備えたわけです。それに備えるために軍事教練として小野馬追がやっていたわけです。現代になってきますと、近代になってきますと、その藩が、明治になって廃藩置県解体されるわけです。で、そういった中で今度はお祭りとして行うようになったわけです。で、これは昔は沼を相手に敵とみなしていろんな軍法を使ってやってたわけで、近代になりますとそれが沼がいなくなる。そういったことでその現代のような沼追いに徐々に変わってきた。
Present at the dawning of the Soma clan's history in the early part of the 10th century was the wild horse, huge herds of which Lord Taira had managed to confine to certain areas of the open Kanto plain. These graceful and magnificent animals quickly became an integral part of the clan's identity, and a cornerstone around which much of their unique cultural heritage would evolve. The image of a rearing horse, kicking wildly in the air, would eventually become one of the heraldic crests of the ruling dynastic Soma family. Corralled horse captured during the training exercises of the Noma Oi were trained to be used as mounts for the clan's warriors. Unlike most of their historical contemporaries, the Japanese did not utilize spurs. Instead, they relied on large, partially enclosed iron stirrups called abumi, which were gripped with the toes. A physically demanding movement that was mastered through strenuous exercises and regular drill. For centuries, the horse has been an integral part of the culture and spirit of the Soma clan, and as such is treated with great respect and reverence. Before saddling his horse, the samurai would splash its hooves with ceremonial sake to appease the gods, and sprinkle pinches of salt on the mane and tail to ward off evil spirits, thus ensuring him and his mount of a safe ride. As an extension of the warrior, most samurai invested considerable sums of money into procuring the finest furnishings for their mounts, including elaborate braided silk cords and ornate stirrups, which are often etched with intricate patterns inlaid with gold and silver. Not unlike the warrior's armor, these pieces of equipment were generally both immensely practical, while simultaneously being highly artistic. Unlike Western saddlery, which are held in place by a series of buckles and straps, traditional Japanese horse furnishings, from the lacquered wooden saddles or kura to the heavy protective leather side panels, are fastened in place entirely by means of nothing more than an intricate and ornate arrangement of specialized knots. And though the equipment itself has not changed for centuries, the horses themselves have, with the smaller, more robust traditional breed originally used by the samurai having slowly disappeared over the last century, having been replaced by the larger and faster thoroughbred breed that is now common throughout the rural countryside of northwestern Japan. If the samurai's sword was his soul, then his armor encapsulated his character. Unique handcrafted masterpieces, sets of samurai armor often took as much as 2 years to fabricate and represented a greater financial investment for a warrior than the cost of building his own home. The code of Bushido required that a warrior clean and properly groom himself before he began the process of donning his armor. A complex task in which he would generally be assisted by his retainers, though one the warrior was also capable of doing by himself, if required. The first components to be fitted would be the shin guards, or suneate, followed by a split, apron-like set of protective panels for the thighs called the haidate, which were commonly fabricated from several rows of laced-together iron or rawhide scales. The customized body armor, or do, would be worn next. When properly fitted, the shoulder straps of a do did not actually rest upon them, but instead arched over the shoulders without touching, leaving a small but essential gap that prevented the weight of the armor from jarring the warrior's body during rigorous movements such as riding and close combat. Thus, the custom-fit, tapered waistline shape of a do was much more than fashion, but an essential feature of its design. Keeping the do squarely seated on the hips during rigorous activity required that it be securely bound at the waist. As the long sash was drawn tight, the warrior's tanto, a short, razor-sharp dagger, would be securely bound in place. This was the weapon the samurai traditionally used to take an opponent's head, or should it be required, would also be the one upon which a warrior would end his own life. A broad hachimaki, or headband, was worn under the helmet to help absorb perspiration and prevent it from irritating the warrior's eyes. The armored sleeves, or kote, would then be attached. These were designed to maintain maximum dexterity and freedom of movement, which was central to the weaponry and tactics of feudal period Japanese warfare. Shoulder guards, facial armor, and a kabuto helmet would be added to complete the ensemble, forming one of the most impressive and resilient forms of ancient body armor ever to have been created. Hachio, one of the ancient heraldic crests of the Soma lords, was inspired by the constellation Ursa Major and the eternal pattern of the lunar cycle. An incredibly appropriate emblematic symbol for a clan whose history dates back more than a millennium. For the samurai, the spiritual realm was infinitely real and a tangible part of their reality. For them, the entire natural world was comprised of gods, spirits, and deities. Deep within an ancient shrine resides a Shinto spirit, a guardian deity of the clan. One of several kami, or gods central to the Shinto beliefs. At the heart of the shrine sits the Omikoshi, an intricate and ornate portable shrine. A sacred housing that allows the kami to be carried forth for the jinja riding high upon the shoulders of the clan's priests, allowing the deity to accompany the samurai as they take to the field, following the eternal cycle of the Soma no Mo'oi. By morning, preparations are complete. Banners and camp awnings emblazoned with the wild horse emblem of the Soma clan adorn the shrine grounds and surrounding towns. Ceremonial sake and stools are arranged, ready to receive the high-ranking samurai and dignitaries who have been summoned forth by their hereditary lord. With his bodyguard and escort, the daimyo arrives, followed by a phalanx of his senior commanders, men who have earned their ranks through many decades of loyal service to their lord. The conch shell trumpeters are gathered to transmit their lord's orders via the horn's distinctive call, each melody of which represents a specific, predetermined command. Prior to their departure, the samurai are gathered to reflect in common prayer before their deity, asking for his guidance and blessing throughout the course of the festival and over the 3 days to come. Once again, the conch shells blare, ordering the samurai to mount in preparation for departure of the Gyoretsu, a formal procession of the daimyo. The order to advance is given, and the samurai, leaning back in their saddles, exit the castle's outer fortifications, arching back so that their tall heraldic flags clear the castle gate. The Gyoretsu will merge with other large bodies of samurai awaiting their lord in the towns of Kashima, Minamisoma, and Odaka, and whose numbers will ultimately swell the column's ranks to almost 600 mounted samurai and several hundred additional marching members. Protected in the middle of the column rides the shrine kami, encapsulated within the omikoshi, accompanied by the shrine's head priest and maidens, who will travel with the Gyoretsu as it makes its way towards the city of Minamisoma, over 40 kilometers away, where the main body of samurai will gather on the 24th. By mid-morning, the column reaches the town of Kashima, where it dismounts for a joining with the local muster of gathered samurai. The omikoshi is given pride of place near the senior warriors, priest and lord, who refresh themselves as the column's advance is discussed and organized. A flurry of messengers arrive with news of the column's rear guard, while others are dispatched to check the route ahead and deliver messages. Their distinctive kicking horse motif heraldry clearly identifying them to all as couriers. Donning his helmet, or kabuto, an authentic 16th century family heirloom, the daimyo prepares to depart. Reorganized, the daimyo leads the combined column as it continues its advance towards the city of Minamisoma.
Name 渡辺正則と言います。職業は JR 東日本に勤務しています。
僕は渡辺良平です。今中学生です。
先ほども言いましたけど、生まれてずっと野馬追があるものですから、小さい時から野馬追には一回出てみたいなってずっと思ってたんですけども、なかなかうちは昔士族侍でないもんですから。野馬追に出ると言っても、どういうふうにして出ればいいのかなというのは全然分からなくて、でずっとちっちゃい時から野馬に出たいな毎年夏になると野馬行きますから行列とか新規争奪戦を見てかっこいいな、いつかは出たいみたいなと思っていたんですが、34歳の時にたまたま自分の職場の同僚が野馬に出てたもんですから、その方に大変お世話になって出たのが初めてです。で今52歳になるんですけども、17年ぐらい経つんですけども、そういう意味ではちっちゃい時からの夢が叶ったっていうかね。でやっぱ相馬地方に生まれた男の子っていうのは ほとんどの人が一回は野前に出たいなって思ってるんじゃないかなっていうふうに思います。
ちっちゃい頃からお父さんが出てるのを見ていて、かっこいいなとか思ったり、馬に乗りながら走ってる姿を見たりして、お父さんすごいなとか思って、いつかは出てみたいと思って、ほんで去年から出始めました。
By the early morning hours of the 24th, the entire force has gathered on the outskirts of the city of Minami Soma, where they will parade before their lord and his senior commanders. Now a column nearly 1,000 strong, comprised of several hundred mounted warriors, banner men and foot soldiers, it will take more than 1 hour to pass before those in the reviewing stand, as it advances through the city towards the ancient training grounds of Hibarigahara, a large open plateau which was once part of the huge fenced enclosure where the clan had kept its herd of wild horse. To be part of the Noma Oi is still seen as a great honor to the people of the old communities of Soma, and as a privilege that those involved are prepared to personally finance in order to participate, with each samurai being responsible for providing his own equipment, horse and saddlery, all of which must be original and/or historically accurate recreations. To this day, the descendants of old samurai families enjoy a privileged status within the community, but one that also comes with civic and personal responsibilities. To be a samurai is more than just to participate. It requires that the warrior follow a strict social code, one that they must adhere to within the community and even their own home. It is this aspect of the Noma Oi that is most misunderstood by outsiders who observe this spectacular festival, for they are unable to witness the continuous involvement of these modern-day samurai within their community, or the demands of training to which they must commit themselves throughout the year. And this is why the Soma Noma Oi is truly such an extraordinary event, for those who are lucky enough to see it are witnessing living history, and not simply a historical reenactment. Preceded by his bannermen, the daimyo arrives on the field escorted by his entourage and guards. Attached to the back of his armor is his personal heraldry, a crescent moon-shaped fixture that towers over him, and an impressive billowing silk cloth-covered bamboo frame called a horo, a unique form of rank identification worn by only the most senior of commanders, each of whom is assigned a specific color. The daimyo's entourage and commanders proceed to the top of a prominent hill that allows them a commanding view over the training grounds, followed by the heavy omikoshi, which is run up the steep incline and placed next to them, cheered on by the people from the local community that have gathered to witness the exciting events that will follow over the course of the afternoon. One of the most spectacular of these is the Shinki Sodatsen, an event where hundreds of warriors surge across the open field of Hibarigahara, attempting to snare falling shrine flags that have been fired high into the sky above them by powerful fireworks. Heated scenes are common as the mounted samurai jockey for position amongst the mass of frenzied warriors, each equally determined to capture one of the highly prized and prestigious flags, which will bring them luck and assure them local celebrity in the year to come. Warriors also display their equestrian skills by riding in armor at breakneck speeds in a series of exciting races called the Kachukeba, or armored horse races. The horses, almost all ex-racing thoroughbreds, ensure that the pace is fast and furious, and not one for the faint-hearted. Restraining their excited mounts, the samurai jostle as they align themselves, awaiting the command that will send them charging down the field, around a 1.2 kilometers long circuit that the fastest of them will cover in just over 1 minute, at breakneck speeds in excess of 60 kilometers per hour. An exhilarating ride that will bring the victor pride and prestige.
若い人たちが思いを野馬追に持っているかと、強い思いを持っているかというふうなことですけれども、これはウィン人の方、これ老若関係ないんですけれども、ウィン人っていうのはやはり初めて出るというふうな緊張感があります。そして年を重ねるごとに野馬追に対する気持ちというものがこれ強くなってくると思います。ですから一概に若い者が野馬追に対しての気持ちが強いか弱いか、そういったことはないと思います。徐々にその野馬追に入っていく、またそういった指導を先輩たちがしていっております。
The final event of the festival occurs on the morning of the 25th at the shrine in the city of Odaka, south of Minami Soma, where the ancient tradition of capturing wild horse is still practiced. Shinto priests bless the grounds and purify them with salt in preparation to receive several horses that are pursued by mounted warriors along country lanes for a number of kilometers towards the shrine, where barricades are erected to corral them. In keeping with the ancient traditions of the Noma Oi, the best of these horses, once corralled, will be selected and then captured by several brave men who will physically wrestle the animal into submission with their bare hands. Traditionally, these captured horse would then be blessed and given as gifts to the samurai of the clan, who would train them as war horses, to be then used in the great training exercises of the clan, pursuing their former wild herd through the forests and open expanse of Hibarigahara, continuing the unbroken cycle of the Noma Oi and the Soma samurai. By evening of the third day, having completed the return journey from Minami Soma, the samurai gather once more before their ancient shrine, where their lord expresses his gratitude for their effort and dedication, which has ensured another successful year of training.
今ここに猟犬の社の庭で確たる武勲を挙げ、無事凱旋した騎馬武者たちと祝杯を共にできることは大きな喜びである。両年の猟犬相馬 中村神社のご加護のもと出陣できることを希望して挨拶とする。
With the formal events complete, the samurai relax over cups of sake in celebration and camaraderie as they share in memories of the recent events. Through the haunting refrain of an ancient song, the samurai reminisce of the clan's origin on the open Kanto plain, and of their famous founder and forefather, Lord Taira no Masakado.
生まれてからずっと野馬追自体があるんで、改めて意味と言われてもピンとこないんですけど、春夏秋冬の中の一つのなんていうんですかね、こう習慣になってるような感じで、7月になると野馬追が来るんだよ。それは夏秋冬が巡ってくると同じく7月になれば野馬追が来る。野馬追が来ると俺らちっちゃい時は野馬追のお小遣いとか野馬追には赤飯を与えて、野馬追に出てないうちでもその野馬追というお祭りを赤飯を与えて祝うという習慣が相馬地方では、どこのうちにもあると思うんです。改めて相馬野馬追の意味と言われてもピンとこないんですけれども、そういう意味では自分の生活の中の一部なのかなっていう感じはします。
自分の中では、生まれた時から物心ついた時からこうずっと見てたんで、かけがえのないお祭りなのかなと思いますよね。意義って合うか分かんないですけど、やっぱ物の風の本文を自分の中に持ってる物の風を見せられる、出せる。
月のように変わらず太陽のように繰り返す。我々の魂は満足し安らぎ、気高い我らが武将の帰りと永遠に続く相馬の野馬追を待つ。